Hello, guys. Let's talk about the Black History fact of today. Hold on. Who we're going to talk about? We are going to talk about Grace Wisher, who was an African American girl who helped stitch the Star Spangled Banner, okay, which is AKA the American flag of what we know today. But she has been long forgotten out of American history because of the skin color of her, and she was to be seen as inferior compared to her white counterparts that contributed to the flag as well in creating the imagery. Okay, so Grace Wisher is a free-born black girl from Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland. She helped stitch the Star Spangled Banner during the 6-year apprenticeship. She began with white flag maker Mary Picklesgill around 1810. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of like the backstory and how she got to where she was into this particular situation. So in the conventional telling of her story, Pickersgill, her daughter Caroline, and one of her nieces all received recognition for sewing the most popular flag in U.S. history. The flag that would later inspire Francis Scott Key, a slaveholder and colonialist, to write the national anthem. But that's Banner's favorite backstory has unfortunately erased Grace's contribution. To tell the full story of the United States, we must reintroduce Grace Wisher into the historical conversations of the Star Spangled Banner's creation, recalling her role in forging the very image of the land of liberty, and can help us to better grasp how Black women and girls have been at the heart of the nation's story since its creation. 3 years into Grace's apprenticeship, Pickersgill was commissioned to create the Star Spangled Banner in celebration of the United States victory against Great Britain in the War of 1812. It was not the original flag of the United States, but it was the one that would instill love and loyalty among countless American citizens for their homeland. Before the creation of the Star Spangled Banner, many Americans did not hang the flag to showcase their national pride. Okay? In 1820, there was approximately 10,326 free black Baltimoreans, and as the years progressed, Baltimore would boast of the largest free black population in the country. They dwelled and worked along the harbor and Fells Point, which were in close proximity to shipyards, docks, and warehouses. A significant number of the free black Baltimoreans also lived in small houses and narrow alleys, including those like Happy Alley, Dutch Alley, and Apple Alley. Considering that Grace was free until her mother, Jenny Wisher, apprenticed her, it is fair to assume she would have lived in such areas along with her family. According to Sally Johnson and Pat Peeling in their book Mary Young Pickersgill, flag maker of the Star Spangled Banner, Grace's mother received $20 at the signing of the contract. She was guaranteed another $12 at the end of her daughter's 6 years of service. There are speculations as to why Grace was sold into apprenticeship. During this time, children of impoverished households worked to contribute to the family income, and many white and black working class populations sold their children as apprentices to offset some of the expenses of rearing multiple children. Oh my God, that's so sad. Many black women were heads of households either because they were widowed, their husbands were enslaved, or their husbands could not find work. Working as a laundress or domestic servants did not contribute significantly to the family income, so black mothers had to make difficult decisions to survive. Only 10 of the only 10 at the time of the apprenticeship. Grace was not yet old enough to work for wages. The most she had contributed to the household was to assist her mother with domestic responsibilities. It is likely that Grace's mother decided to apprentice her to receive instant economic assistance and to absolve the financial burden of providing for her. Picklesgill reassured Grace's mother that she would teach her the art and mystery of housework and plain sewing, which explains why Grace assisted in creating the Star Spangled Banner. But why has her contributions been absent in history books? It is not unusual for the contributions of black populations to be excluded, but the stories of black women and girls especially are overlooked given that they have occupied positions in society that are, as historian Treva Lindsay has written on the margins of the margins. In other words, black women and girls have historically numbered among the most marginalized individuals within an already marginalized population. So Grace is absent from this story because of her inferior status in American society. She was poor, black, and a girl. She had 3 strikes against her that played a role in silencing her contribution to such an important task. Despite the absence of black women and girls in the historical record, they held an influential role in the establishment of the United States. Their bodies were relied upon for the continuation of the institution of slavery. They were forced into reproductive, domestic, and manual labor to advance the economic and capitalist interests of white slave owners. In the instance of Grace, a young black girl's labor was vital in creating the image of the United States, a task that took 6 long weeks to complete. There was also an unnamed enslaved black girl who was said to have helped stitch the banner. It is critical that we begin to recognize and discuss the work of black women and girls without signifying their impacts of their labor. The history of the United States remains incomplete. Historians Dana Berry and Callie Gross assert that black girls and women like Grace have literally stitched themselves into our nation's history, but mainstream historical accounts continuously overlook their contributions. That is her story, and that is the backstory of how we enjoy the American flag today.